tell us what's the rest of the chapter.
Well, first of all, I will say that it is a metaphor that is meant to also describe my intention to embark on a new generation of leadership. But it is also about moving past what, frankly, I think has been the last decade of
Okay, so this has to be the mistake that will lose Kamala Harris the 2024 election. And that is the endorsement and the celebration of Liz Cheney, who happens to be a neocon, who happens to be old school Republican. You might even argue she's a rhino. Maybe, maybe not. Let me play you a clip from someone I do not agree with on pretty much anything, except probably this issue here. And I thought his explanation is spot on, and that is Chink from the Young Turks. Watch.
This is hopeless. What is this? We're going back to the 1990s. I love Republicans. I love bipartisanship. Republicans have such good ideas. Might that encourage people to vote for them instead of you? And what Republicans are you talking about? See, they don't understand modern day politics at all. They're still, we're going to get the John McCain Republicans, the Dick Cheney, Mitch McConnell Republicans. No, those are corporate Republicans.
Exactly, perfect.
And those voters don't exist. So you think that because your donors are all corporate Republicans and corporate Democrats, that there's this giant subsection of the country that are like, oh my God, if she would just work with corporate Republicans to help big business, we'd vote for her. No, the undecideds are barely follow politics. They're not John McCain fans or Dick Cheney fans. They want you to help them. You need to be a populist to do that. So running towards these corporate Republicans is a disastrous strategy. It gives your opponent a rhetorical marketing advantage because you're saying the other party is good. It picks up no votes at all, and it leads you in the wrong direction where you're seen as more pro-war and pro-business when you need to be more populist and telling those undecided voters, hey, I'm going to deliver for you. I'm going to get you something, not I'm going to get Dick Cheney something. This is the worst strategy in the world.
Okay, so he's spot on, right? And I want to just dial in on a couple of things here. And I might actually just add this. We live in an age where populism is at an all-time high, meaning there are a lot of Americans out there, they want to put America first. They want to put the people and the interests of what people want first. And that obviously clashes with the establishment. People in Washington who clearly are funded by these donors, these elites, lobbyists, even people in Washington who love the idea of war. It contradicts that ideology. So it's an absolute terrible strategy. We know this. If anything, I think it's going to backfire because it's out of touch. Now, they did a town hall. This town hall was awkward, in my opinion. I did watch it. And it's just more of the same from Kamala Harris. No specifics, no clarity, a lot of vagueness, and a lot of word salad. Here's her response or description of the Constitution. Check it out.
I've counted that I have taken the oath of office 6 times. And for the elected leaders here, we know it is an oath that one must take sincerely and unequivocally, which is an oath, among other things, to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and to understand what those principles represent and what they require of the individual who holds the office in the public trust. And let's not undervalue that point as well.
Now, you let me know if you know exactly what she was talking about, because I don't. And again, this speaks to one of the weaknesses from Kamala Harris as a politician. She's not relatable. She's not down to earth. The energy is fake. You could see it a mile away. And she doesn't provide any type of clarity that makes you say, wow, I didn't see it that way. That is so spot on. That's very insightful. That's just not who she is. And that's why people are just not buying her, especially the working class voters. And one of the things that is so confusing about her campaign is this idea that she's ready to turn the page. The country's ready to turn the page. So of course, they asked her about that and what it meant. And once again, the answer just, it's like the question went over her head or something. Watch this.
You know, you talk a lot about a new way forward. You talk about turning the page. What's on the next page? Talk to us about
You want a preview?
Yeah, give me a spoiler alert, you know? Just tell us what's in the rest of the chapter.
Well, first of all, I will say that it is a metaphor that is meant to also describe my intention to embark on a new generation of leadership. And needless to say, mine will not be a continuation of the Biden administration. I bring to it my own ideas, my own experiences. But it is also about moving past what, frankly, I think has been the last decade of the American discourse being influenced by Donald Trump in a way that has had the effect of suggesting we as Americans should point the finger at one another, in a way that has been using the power of the presidency to demean and to divide us. I think people are exhausted with that, rightly.
Okay, so let me get this correct. You're saying that Trump is wrong and he's bad because he's used the presidency to demean citizens of this country. Do we need to remind you of what Hillary Clinton said about Trump supporters? Do we need you to remind you what Joe Biden has said repeatedly about people who support Trump, let alone Trump himself? Even your own comments, Madam Vice President. So I find it interesting that even though Trump is very direct, blunt, and entertaining when he absolutely criticizes people, you guys are definitely more finesse with it. But the same damn thing is happening. To accuse one side of having dangerous rhetoric is very rich when your own side is doing it too. So I respect someone who could at least call it down the middle and see both sides for what it is. We're in the heat of a campaign right now. Both sides are going to say what they need to say to get it done. I mean, there's no question about that. That's why I'm not even complaining about what she's saying. I just don't respect the hypocrisy and how people are going to eat this up. Now, one of the things I don't think a lot of voters out there are going to eat up is, I guess, this common trait between Kamala Harris and Liz Cheney. And what I mean by that is something they both agree on from an ideology point of view, and that is war. Hear Kamala Harris talk about war and probably explains why she loves that Liz Cheney has endorsed her. Check it out.
Bringing the allies together is because they are fully aware of and remember, to the Congresswoman's point, World War II. Remember, this concept of isolation, we were once there as a nation, and then Pearl Harbor happened. Let's remember recent history. Europe remembers it well. When we got attacked, Pearl Harbor, we jumped in. And it is because America jumped in that we were ultimately able to win that war. And it should be a constant reminder to us, we have to remember history, that isolationism, which is exactly what Donald Trump is pushing, pull out of NATO, abandon our friends, isolationism is not insulation. It is not insulation. It will not insulate us from harm in terms of our national security. So I say that to emphasize a point that the Congresswoman made. And the other point I'd make is also check out where he's been on how he thinks about America's military.
How can we go into another country and take care of all of their problems, not just politically, financially, economically, if we're not even doing that for our own country, right? You guys want to support Ukraine, fine. But can you support our veterans who are homeless on the corners? Can you support working single parents who have multiple kids and they're barely getting by? Can you support the hardworking young adults who just got out of college and they can't get a job to even pay to get their own place to stay? What about those people? And I truly believe that is the disconnect in the messaging. It kind of reminds us of what's happening with the Democratic Party and why they are losing the working class. They're losing the black community. They're losing blue collar workers. Why is that? Because the messaging and the results, they're not adding up anymore. Speaking about messaging, the whole point of Liz Cheney, I suppose, is to make people focus on the Constitution. They want people to believe that Trump is a threat to the Constitution. But here's what Liz Cheney had to say about Trump.
I thought to myself, you know, in the aftermath of the attack on the Capitol, are they going to grow up in a country where we don't have to worry about the peaceful transfer of power? Are they going to grow up in a country where that is guaranteed. And I believe that every one of us in this election has a duty and an obligation to do what we know is right for the country, and that's to support Vice President Harris. So I'm very honored to be here and to do that.
Now, I played you what Chink had to say about Kamala Harris and the strategy that she's using. He believes this will actually lose her the election. I agree too, but I also want to play you someone that's on the right in the name of Tucker Carlson and what he had to say about Liz Cheney. I think you're going to get some value from this. Listen to this take.
What they actually care about is the ability to continue to fight pointless wars, because that's where all the money is. That's where all the money is. And if you don't believe it, maybe you haven't checked your phone today to see that Dick Cheney and his horrible daughter have endorsed Kamala Harris. Dick Cheney. Now, why is that? What does Dick Cheney have in common with Kamala Harris? And it's really interesting, actually, because they're constantly telling us that the divides are along race and gender. And they were always telling us Dick Cheney is this rich white guy, and Kamala Harris is this oppressed woman of color. They've got nothing in common. But actually, they have everything in common. Because they're both neocons. That's exactly right. They have everything in common. And it tells you what a lie this race and gender stuff is. That's not the divide. The divide is in your heart. And if you think it's okay to kill people in order to get rich, you're on their side. And if you don't, you're on our side, no matter what you look like.
Okay, so before we go any further, if you're getting value from this video, please do us a favor. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. If you want to support us further, you know what to do. Go to the link in the description below. Grab yourself a t-shirt or buy us a cup of coffee. Now, everything we heard from Tucker Carlson I thought was spot on. I'm sure you do too. And it speaks to why this endorsement is ludicrous at best. Again, if this election is coming down to people who are undecided, you think they really care about Liz Cheney? No, they don't. That's number one. Number two, paying your bills is the one thing that keeps people up at night, not democracy. Okay. The only people who are up at night over democracy are the pundits, are these people that work at MSNBC, you know, the people who truly eat, breathe, and crap this stuff on a daily basis when it comes to Trump. Now, the one thing that the average American can relate to is people who are authentic, whether they love them or hate them. That person right now in this election is clearly Trump. And what's interesting is while Kamala Harris is campaigning with Liz Cheney and talking about he's a threat to democracy and all this other craziness, here is what Trump was doing today.
Praying for you, and we will not forget about you. We will never forget about you. We're going to be working with you for a long time to come to get it back together. When I'm president, I will stand with you until the communities are fully rebuilt. Every single inch of every property will be fully rebuilt, greater and more beautiful than it was before.
Okay, so during the course of this stop at this town hall, she also did a little side interview. And they asked her about Elon Musk and what he was doing by giving $1 million away every single day for people who sign his petition in the name of free speech and the right to bear arms, which does not sound crazy, by the way. But hey, here's why I want to show you the clip, because again, they keep saying that Trump is a threat to democracy, but listen to her response when the reporter asked her the question about Elon Musk, and you tell me, isn't she the threat to democracy? Watch.
So Elon Musk is giving away $1 million a day to voters who sign a petition. Do you have concerns about that in the context of law, you know, the sort of legal framework around elections? And secondly, a Reuters investigation has shown something like 300 cases of political violence already in the run-up to the election. Can you just address what can be done and what the federal government can do to push back against that?
Well, on the first point, I think people are looking into that. On the second point,
When you say people, do you mean the U.S. government?
I mean, I hear that folks are looking into it just based on the stuff you all are reporting.
Okay, so in other words, yeah, we're going to try to silence him. I mean, we already know the way they treated Elon Musk is terrible, and I think will backfire, just like this whole Liz Cheney endorsement will backfire on her because it's out of touch. It's not relatable. There's nothing about that endorsement that screams, man, that is really authentic. You know, that really represents me and my family and our ability to pay bills. No, that represents more war, more money, more establishment, bigger government. I mean, that's exactly what it is. So all in all, this mistake from her campaign, I believe, will lose her this election because it's one of a series of mistakes that just shows that this campaign was doomed from the start, okay? In an alternative universe, if they had put up a stronger candidate, that candidate would probably be ahead by now. But she's not ahead. In fact, she's fallen behind because of these series of mistakes. So when you're talking about hiding from the media, flip-flopping on every single policy, being endorsed by these rhino Republicans, right? Not explaining what your true stance is when it comes to the Israel-Hamas war, the failed withdrawal from Afghanistan that you still won't take any responsibility for, and you've yet to publicly apologize to the Gold Star families, the atrocious job you did on the border, and you only just went to the border because you're trying to get elected, the pandering and photo ops with the black community. You just now went to the black community and rolled out an agenda for the black community. And so there's a lot of mistakes, I believe, on her side. Is a sign of desperation, and they're just trying to do whatever they can to prevent Trump from getting back to the White House. But the thing about our country that I love so much, I truly believe common sense will prevail this election. I believe it's really as simple as the economy and immigration has really damaged a lot of lives out there. And that's how people are going to vote. It doesn't really matter if they like Trump or not. But that is my opinion. What do you guys think about what she's doing? Do you agree with me that this mistake could lose her the election? What is your opinion about Liz Cheney overall? Please share your answer in the comment section below. And don't let me forget, that other mistake was her running mate that she picked, Tim Walz, Stolen Valor. Yeah, he went on The View this morning and definitely made a fool of himself. I did a video reacting to that. And if you want to watch it, you can click on it because it's coming up right now.